All right, now I've been hiding this for months. I got this at the very same time I got the 72 Strat. This also belongs to Arek. This came from Poland. Belonged to his late father. Look at that, would ya? I mean, look at it. Let's drag this thing out in the light. It's time to unveil this thing. It's time for those of you who suffer through my long videos to be treated to something super cool. For those of you who actually watch my channel and actually suffer through the videos and leave me super kind comments, I appreciate all of you, all the new subscribers. We're starting to get a few haters, but I guess that's normal. But look at that, would ya? That's our next project. Now, the reason I'm kind of unveiling this right now is I need a bit of help with this. We have been investigating this thing for quite a while, he and I separately, and we've come up with a few conclusions. So the first thing is, it's a Baldwin. Now, my investigation says that in the late 60s, and I'm not exactly sure my dates here, but in the late 60s or so, Gretsch started to manufacture guitars under the Baldwin name. And I guess it's because Gretsch didn't have a very good name at the time. I'm not really superly overly up on my guitar history, but I do find this stuff cool. Anyway, so we think it's a Gretsch, and I also think, just given what's on it, it's been modified. Now, it does have one other pickup that is in a very poor state that looks just like that, and it just seems to rest on top of the body. You can see that this guitar is in a very poor state. Now, what makes this guitar cool, apart from just how it looks and everything on it, is that it's 9-string. That's the really odd thing about this. It's a 9-string guitar. So it seems to have, on the higher 3 strings, I guess this would be for rhythm playing? But even look at this, look at that nut. Like, somebody's done some clever engineering here. And we're keen to leave this thing looking exactly the way it does, but it needs some major restoration. Major restoration. Chief among which is, well, there's so much. There's so much that needs restoration. There's quite a few ugly cracks in the body, so we're unsure what's under there. It's bolted onto the body, like the neck is bolted onto the body in sort of a strange fashion, but seems to be super stable. So you got one screw back there, a couple screws there, and then the neck pickup seems to sit over this, seems to sit over top of that. And then we got this really cool scratch guard and a switch there for, I don't know why I haven't pulled any of that out, but this is the really curious thing. Look at how, that's like an 1/8" jack, right? It's not a proper, it's not a proper lead like that. That's like what your headphone jack would be like. That's what that size is. So that's pretty neat. I'm very looking forward to pulling these electronics out of here and figuring out what they do. Is that stereo? Like, what is that? Clearly, we're not going to be able to make all that work. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to make all that work again. So I think the plan is just to save some of these old parts and try and recreate a little scratch plate like that with a proper lead that we can use. And I think we're going to put new electronics in here. We could try and fix these pickups. I reckon maybe that one works, but I'm certain the other one doesn't. So yeah, it's seen better days, this guitar. So, and we don't know if some of it's been modified or whatever, but this is a really other curious thing, is this neck. It looks like a 2x3 or something. Like that somebody's just sort of rounded over the corners. It's super thick. Just to give you an idea, just to use my thumb there, like look at how thick that is. And then it just kind of rounds over, and it's super flat on the back. It's not uncomfortable to hold, actually, oddly. It's not uncomfortable to feel in your hand. So, strangely, I don't think I'm going to touch that. I think I'm going to leave that just the way it is. Because we had talked about rounding this over a bit more, but I want to kind of leave that. We want to leave this as much intact as we possibly can. We may have to do something about these tuners, but I don't think that's a really big deal. But yeah, we might have to source something else for that, to make that work, because I don't think those are in really great shape. But overall, I mean, it looks like it's got some ugly damage, but what part of the problem is that if I repair this, like, because this needs major repair. I don't know how easy that is to see on camera, but that needs major repair. This is hollow body, right? Don't forget, this is hollow body. I've been inside the guitar. There is a center block in there. So it's hollow. So if I repair that, am I going to be able to match this paint? Do I want to try and match this paint? Should I just repaint the whole back of the guitar? Like, because that doesn't look like it's overly scratched. So, I mean, I don't think we're going to be valuing it, but that's a pretty shit paint job anyway. I mean, it's cool looking, but it's a pretty shit paint job. So do we put a brand new, just try to match this red as best as possible and leave the front as much as possible? Because we don't want to touch the front. We want to leave that just as is, but it's got some nasty things that we need to take care of. Like, that looks to be lacquer cracking, so that's all right. None of the front looks to be damaged. Just having a real close look. I've been looking at this thing for 5 months. But it's the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I'd be really curious to know if anybody knows anything about a 9-string Baldwin. This came from Poland, and it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm really aching to get it playing. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So just one other really neat thing is that I just happen to have, a good friend of mine gave me these, are brand new. So these are just brand new humbuckers that I have that a friend gave to me, and I think those would go into that guitar wonderfully. They'd be a good replacement for the original pickups, because I don't think we're going to get the original pickups working and or electronics. So we'll just save all that up, we'll put it in a nice little box, and it'll just be part of the guitar's history. Because I don't know if that's worth an awful lot of money, but maybe it is. Who knows? But anything I do to it can be undone. Especially with something that old. That's what I really want to make sure, is that anything I do to it can be undone. Well, the structural repairs, I'm hoping that will be permanent, but I'm hoping stuff like this. Anything that I do like this can be undone. If it turns out that that guitar is worth $1 million, well, that's why we want to save all that stuff, and if there's some way to restore it, then he'll investigate it if it becomes important to him. But if not, he holds on to it for as long as he's the custodian of it, and I reckon since that belonged to his dad, it's probably never going to leave his family. So there you go. That's, people make choices for their own reasons. Anyway, so yeah, lots of cool stuff on the go here, man. It's so cold outside, I haven't wanted to do any woodworking because I'm going to need to haul that out in the garage and at least sand out some of that pocket, and it's been way too cold. So I'm just drawing up some plans and gathering some info, and I thought it was time to put a little bit of a video of this on YouTube and see if anybody knows anything about this, because it is so cool and I want to get it playing for him. He's not going to be playing it in a band, he just wants to be able to sit down and strum it and hear it and feel it and, feel connected to his family. That belonged to his father, so it's cool. And we want to make sure that he continues to feel connected to it and that we don't do anything to fuck it up.